Hello, Orville Nation. Welcome, everybody. We have an amazing show. We have a special guest, MARC ZICREE from Space Command, and we're gonna introduce everybody real quick. We are reviewing the PRIA episode 5 of season 1. What a great episode, and we're dying to see what Mark thinks about it. Let's get started. And I want to introduce, first of all, joining me, our friend from the Orville world, and she is on the Orville herself. Welcome, ALYSSIA AVP. Hello, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great, everybody. It's good to see everybody.
I'm loving your background, ALYSSIA. It looks good.
Yes. Thank you.
What's new with your channel, by the way? Anything new coming up?
Let's see. Well, I have another celebrity interview with another Orville person. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but hopefully we'll be scheduling and we'll be recording it on Sunday sometime. Good
for you. Awesome. Very exciting. Very exciting. Alyssa's got everything Orville going on her channel. I want to bring in the rest of the crowd, and then we're gonna introduce Mark. Hello, I want to introduce Cardinal Sin and ELIHU. Hello, guys.
Hi.
What's up?
What is going on with your channels, ELIHU? What's new?
Well, next week I'm going to automatically get a little Wikipedia flag for my topic, because I'm going to be covering and talking about the anti-spherical Earth Club and all their theories and disproving them. So I'm going to need a little Wikipedia flag on my page. Just a heads up for everybody.
Like the one inside Kong versus Godzilla?
No, basically flat earthers. The anti-spherical Earth Club.
I was thinking too big. Sorry.
And Gil, what's going on with your channel? What's new with Cardinal Sin's channel?
Today I'm working on a review of Strange New World, which was one of Gene Roddenberry's 3 attempts to get back onto television, and I'm having a blast reviewing it. I'm taking out little screen grabs so I don't have to use any audio and I won't get any copyright strikes. Keeping my fingers crossed, and writing really snarky commentary about it, so that's a lot of fun.
Okay, awesome. I do want to bring in real quick Maria. Hello, Maria from TELLY. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you too. I'm not wearing any shoes. I hope you're okay with that.
That sounds fantastic.
As long as you're wearing pants.
I got those.
What's new with TELLY?
Oh my gosh. I'm just creating some new content for some reviews on things. The kind of going a little geeky, little computer stuff, but I think the computer world would love what we got. But yeah, I still have an actor coming up in our show. He's doing the Preacher movie, and so got that coming too.
Awesome. Alrighty. Now we have the Space Command. We have the Space Command Kickstarter that our community wants to be supporting. Mark is doing what so many creators should be doing. He is taking things into his own hands and getting stuff done. Welcome, MARC ZICREE. Hello. How are you, my friend?
Hi. It's great to be back. It's great to see you all. And I'm actually Cardinal Sin. I own that shirt, so I too was at that Worldcon. So
were you?
Yeah. Great shirt, proudly worn. And,
I'm sorry I missed you.
Yeah. Well, next time we're at Worldcon, we'll have to,
I had 3 days to run into you.
Yeah, well, there you go. But that was back when, of course, we were on something more than a computer screen. So
yeah,
we're not in the new reality yet. But it's good. It's good to see you here, and it's good to see all of you. And thanks so much for all the kind words about Space Command, because we're at $50,000. We've got 1 week to go. We got to hit 80,000. and we're going to do it, but it's going to take all of us to really make magic happen. So that's really fun.
And this is this block of Kickstarter.
Hi, Mario.
People passing by. Yes.
This block of Kickstarter, Mark, is for what are you going to be filming with this block of Kickstarting?
We're finishing post all the visual effects on the second hour, and we started shooting the fourth hour. So and and just like with Maria in our campaign, we can have walk-ons. People can have walk-ons, just like Maria just had. Someone walking across the set at random. So but we've got producer credits, we've got acting roles. We have one cool thing where you can play an alien, and you get to take the alien mask home, and so you get on-screen credit.
Oh, wow!
And we only had 2 of those. Our designer Eric Rodriguez gave us these two wonderful masks, and I named them Gidney and Cloyd after the 2 aliens from Rocky and Bullwinkle. So from when I was a kid. So it's really fun. It's really fun. So I love doing this stuff.
Mark, we're all old enough to know who Rocky Bullwinkle is. Some people might not remember that.
Well, I'll tell you something really fun. If you're ever in Los Angeles, for many years, Jay Ward, who did Rocky and Bullwinkle, he had he opened a store on Sunset Boulevard, and there used to be a big statue of like a chorus girl that would turn. It was a revolving statue, gigantic, like 30 feet tall. And so he made a Rocky and Bullwinkle statue as a joke. It was in the exact same pose with Bullwinkle holding Rocky in his hand, and that was there in front of the J. Ward Emporium for many years. And then that shop closed years ago, and that vanished. That statue vanished, and they've just they put it up again on Sunset, and you can see this amazing Rocky and Bullwinkle statue that's like 30 foot tall, and it's just great. It must have been in storage somewhere, but if they refurbished it, it just looks spectacular. So next time you're on the Sunset Strip, it's across from the Tower Record Store, and it's just too cool for school.
Mark, at this point, I need to jump in and let you know that for several years I was in a punk band called Wayback Machine.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, there's just, it's funny because it's almost like tree rings. You can see the common references that people have depending on what age they are and when they grew up. Because I wrote for Smurfs and He-Man and Super Friends and Real Ghostbusters.
It's part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah, and so that was when I was in my early 20s, so I wasn't much older than the audience at that point. And then of course I moved over to Next Gen and DS9 and Babylon 5 and all those shows. So, but it's really fun to have grown up loving animation and had a chance to write some of the iconic shows. Really, really, really dug it.
Mark, I don't know. You saw the episode. What was the? What was the? Is there something to be said for an episode that has romance, action, suspense, a little bit of everything?
Yes, and the thing that really struck me, and the thing that's actually very different with the Orville from any other science fiction show, including Star Trek: Next Generation, is that because Seth MacFarlane has such a stellar group of friends. I mean, Charlize Theron starred with him in A Million Ways to Die in the West, which was his Western. All of a sudden there's Charlize Theron, and that's like, holy cow. That was an amazing movie star, appearance. You'd almost never get something like that on the regular science fiction shows because they couldn't afford it and they didn't pal around with those people. But he did, and that's also how you got, it was a real fun thing, particularly when she had just been played Furiosa in Mad Max, so this is a very different role. So it has a lot of delightful elements in it. Yeah, absolutely.
Mark, do you want to tell us real quick about the image we have up here about the Blu-ray perks, the DVD?
Yeah. Well, with Space Command, I've got my own YouTube channel called Mr. Sci-Fi. So if you want to check out the full hour, the first hour of our 2-hour pilot, you can go to Mr. Sci-Fi. You can watch all of it. And we just had a sneak peek on the second hour. We're going to have a sneak peek on the third hour in the next few days. We're among the perks we have on our Kickstarter campaign. We've got Blu-rays of the first 4 hours of Space Command, and that stars Doug Jones, Robert Picardo, Mira Furlan, Bill Mumy, Bruce Boxleitner, James Hong from Blade Runner, Ron Tahir from JJ's Star Trek movie, on and on. And
a little bit of star power.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I was talking about Seth MacFarlane being pals with Charlize Theron, because I came up in TV, I'm friends with all these actors, these amazing actors I've gotten to work with over the years. And so the fun part is that so many people struggle to get name actors attached, and it's literally when you know them, when they're your friends and they love your work, you can literally just call them and say, "Hey, you want to be in this thing?" And they go, "Okay, yeah." And 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 that's it. We're all just kind of showing up to just create something that we're all proud of. And
so in those situations, do they still have to audition?
no.
No. That's how Melissa Bonet got in Kevin Smith's last movie.
Yeah.
They basically called up, like, "Hey, I got a small part for you. You want it?" She's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But in this case, it's lead roles, and like Jones, and I usually write roles for someone specifically in mind. So like with Doug or with Bob Picardo or Mira Furlan, I wrote those roles specifically for them, and I still do that. My wife and I write and direct and produce together, and we,
even before you've gotten them to agree to be it. That's great.
Yeah, and but also like with the new stuff I'm working on even now, Veronica Cartwright and Gates McFadden and so forth, they're all in this new project of mine, Mike Harney from Orange Is the New Black. And again, I'm just so in awe of their talent. It's like, okay. And then with Gates, she's playing actually identical twin sisters in this new show I'm creating with Rocky O'Bannon, and she told me that she was fluent in French. So I said, oh, well, that'd be cool if she had a French father and an American mother, and they were divorced when the two girls were little kids, and the father took one daughter back to France, and the other one was raised in America, so one has a French accent and the other doesn't, and so it's just super fun, and so I love working with these people. It's just total creativity. There's no one is like a star where they're pulling rank or doing any of that nonsense that impedes creativity. We're all showing up just to create something that we love, and it's funny because also when you look at the Orville, it's clear that Seth MacFarlane loves Star Trek. He wanted to do Star Trek Next Generation his way, and he's hired the right people like Brandon Braga, from Star Trek Next Generation, and David Goodman and Andre Boimanis and so forth. So he's as opposed to some of the Star Trek series we're getting now, where they're kind of hiring some interesting choices. Seth knew who to hire, and I think that really increases the quality of the show.
And now, Maria, had you seen this? But you've seen this before, right? This episode.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's no first timer here. On the panel.
I've seen this a couple times, and my camera just froze up again. Sheesh.
Now, like Mark said, I think I think also from Seth's career in animation, he had so many people coming doing cameos that like Mark said, he's built up this repertoire. I mean, this Rolodex of people that he can just call up and very reminiscent of their time together in the movie Million Ways to Die in the West, right?
Yeah. Well, you can tell they're having fun in their scenes with each other. You can really see that there's an affection and a friendship there. Otherwise, she wouldn't be doing the role. She doesn't need to be appearing on the Orville, God knows. And but I think it's fun because it's such a riff on Star Trek: The Next Generation, but also its own show as well. The fact that this episode is about his ex-wife being jealous, theoretically, of him having a new romance, and yet his judgment is clouded by the fact that it's Charlize Theron and she's gorgeous and so forth. It's a very fun notion, and one you never get on Star Trek: The Next Generation because you didn't have those relationships set up that way. So it's great.
Yeah, Mark. That was even written into the show. The line where Lamar's like, "Certainly point out the attractiveness of the person that had nothing to do with the rescue." Yeah, I can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Mark,
okay, go ahead, please.
Mark, the big thing that's going on with this episode in the Orville fandom is that if Seinfeld exists in the Orville universe, and within Seinfeld they talk about Star Trek, will the Orville directly reference Star Trek at some point?
It's a very interesting idea, but it's more usually those kind of things are more like what properties does the studio making the show own. So, for instance, you got Looney Tune cartoons in Babylon 5 because that was Warner Brothers who was airing it, and so usually it's more along those lines, though that doesn't preclude you from casting Star Trek actors. So, for instance, Bob Picardo has appeared in the Orville, and but it'd be a very funny thing for them to comment on that. It's also really interesting to see that this was early in the series where they were doing more kind of comedic riffs that were a little bit it was nice when the show evolved where it didn't have those kind of strange, crazy riffs that took you out of the show rather than keeping you in the reality.
Just kind of a wink and a nod.
Yeah. But it's so fun to see which thing, like for instance, when they first rescue Charlize Theron, it looks very much like she's wearing a next gen uniform.
I was going to mention that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also it's funny. It's always funny to see what they're going to riff on from Star Trek and what they aren't. So they don't have a transporter, but they have a shuttlecraft, and they have tractor beams, which they call tractor beams, and they also have the holodeck, which they call the environmental simulator. So it's really fun how direct it is. He's not trying to hide the fingerprints at all.
By the way, Mark, actor Jeff Teravainen, who's been with us on several episodes, he wanted to meet you. He wanted to show up tonight, but he says for us to excuse him, he's busy. He can't make it tonight, but he wanted to say hi.
Well, that's great. Anyone who wants to meet me, that's an honor. Hey, thanks a lot. I'm flattered.
I'm sure you guys will get to meet at some point. I don't have a picture of it, but you're absolutely right. It was very, very reminiscent of the Generation episode, right? I mean, our uniform. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah, it's very fun, and and sometimes the actors actually get to take their costumes home. It's like a little perk. A friend of mine directed Maverick, and the star of that show had that whole Western regalia. So one time my friend Doug Hayes was going to a costume party. He said, "Can I borrow that Maverick costume from you?" So he got it and he wore it, and somehow he never ended up giving it back. And so he ended up owning the costume that Maverick had worn in that show. So it's funny how that thing goes. So that costume might well be in Charlize Theron's closet. You never know. Yeah, there it is. Exactly. That's very fun. Very, very fun. And it's and for her, I'm sure it was a thrill because it used to be that movie stars couldn't appear in TV shows. It would lower what was called their salary. And now, of course, they're allowed to. It's very permeable. It's great in that way. And
there was a time back, what was it, the 80s and 90s, if a big movie star appeared on TV shows, like, okay, their career is tanking. What are they trying to get recognition again? Now it's like, oh my gosh, a cameo.
Yeah, well, TV.
Yeah.
But someone did in the 60s, though, too, ELIHU, with The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and other series.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it started going in the 70s, 80s when you see big stars going on TV shows like, oh yeah, they haven't really done anything in a while. Okay, I remember this person.
Right, exactly. And Cardinal Sin, if I saw you had a question.
Yeah, Mark, I wanted to ask you, are there any plans to have Patricia Tallman on Space Command?
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I've also been talking to Claudia Christian, who because I wrote for Babylon 5, so I met a lot of those people back in the day. But for me, the high priority was always Neil McFarlane. And if Andreas Katsulas had still been with us, I absolutely would have written a role for him because he was spectacular. So it's part of it is finding the right role for the actor. Armin Shimmerman's going to be in Space Command. Ethan Phillips, just tons and tons of people yet to come. And Christina Moses, who's a friend of mine who stars in Little Things on ABC, and so I'm really a kid in a candy store. It's just this is a dream come true, and Nichelle Nichols is in Space Command, and I met her.
Wow, how cool is that?
I just have to throw this out there because we're friends with her and we worked with her before. If you ever want Lindsay Wagner, the Bionic Woman, on, I'll hook you up.
And again, I think so many of these actors are so talented and so underutilized, and I think that's a crime, because they really are great. They don't stop being great. They've still got the chops. Barbara Bain is in Space Command now. She's also going to be in the new show I'm Training with Rock, and it's a joy to work with her. It's thrilling,
I remember there was a campaign to get Gil Gerard on The Big Bang Theory for years, and they never did. And I thought that was a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many wonderful actors, and the thing is to just get them while we have them because they're treasures, And now someone is asking if I consider the Carol Burnett episode the worst of the Twilight Zone. No, actually.
Well, you're the guy to ask, Mark.
I wrote the Twilight Zone companion. I'm actually going to, in the near future, have a Kickstarter campaign where I do. On the Blu-ray I did. I produced the Blu-ray of the Twilight Zone. I did 52 episode commentaries, which leaves 104. But I haven't done the commentaries yet, so I'm actually going to have a Kickstarter campaign where you can get all 104 commentaries that I haven't yet done. But the Carol Burnett episode was Carol Burnett was Rod Serling was a big fan of her work. This was before the Carol Burnett show, so he wrote an episode for her. And in his scrapbook, there was a series of photos of them lying on the studio soundstage floor and arm wrestling. and she won. And I don't think that was a put-up job. I think she really beat him. And
that was the only episode of the Twilight Zone with a laugh track, right?
Yes, and interestingly enough, on the Blu-ray, you can actually watch that episode with and without a laugh track. And the weird thing is that without a laugh track, it's the actors say a line and they just kind of stop and wait because it's being timed for a laugh track.
Right.
It's a very weird episode either way, and it was done with a laugh track because it was hoped to be a pilot for another show, and that never came about.
It was a backdoor pilot?
Yes, that's
wow.
And it would be, and that was the plan. But it didn't.
That would have been cool.
Maybe. But I'm glad that Carol Burnett went on to do the Carol Burnett show instead, because that's just such a wonderful show. But yeah. But again, it's always that interesting question of the balance between comedy and drama. Particularly in shows like the Orville or Trek or any of these things. I mean, it's always finding the tone that that doesn't take you out of the story, that doesn't take you away from the characters, that's organic to the show, and that's we always have to deal with that because often you have characters who are great at delivering comedy. Whether it's Bob Picardo is a master, and Ethan Phillips too, and so then it's just finding the ways to have those jokes be within the character rather than outside the character.
And Bob Picardo is also a wonderful singer.
Yeah.
I went to a convention in Minneapolis in 2007, and I got William Shatner's autograph and Leonard Nimoy's autograph and Bob Picardo and Ethan Phillips' autograph. And at the end of the night, where we sort of hung out with the stars during dinner and drinks and stuff like that, I got to ride up the elevator with my brother and Ethan Phillips and Bob Picardo, and Bob Picardo just broke into song. It was the most wonderful thing. It was the coolest thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a wonderful guy, and there's a lot of movies he's in that people don't know he's in. For instance, The Howling. He's this really scary werewolf in The Howling.
Oh yeah.
And also, of course, he's Johnny Cab in Total Recall, the Schwarzenegger movie.
Yes.
Because he's
also in The Burbs as a garbage man.
Yes, but
he's also in For Richer or For Poorer as well. Ethan Phillips is.
That's right. Yeah, but with Bob Picardo, we did a prequel, a Space Command prequel that we did as an audio play and a graphic novel with our entire cast. So Bob was reprising his role of Yusuf Sikander, the character he plays in Space Command. But then at one point, Mira Furlan's character leaves a hospital and she hails a flying cab that has an automated voice. And I just said to Bob, "Look, could you do Johnny Cab?" And he did. And so she hails a Johnny Cab in the graphic novel. So that's pretty fun, pretty hilarious.
Wasn't
Mark,
he on the Cassini board of trustees for the Cassini project for NASA?
Yeah. He's a big guy in the Space Society and all that stuff.
Yeah, him and Tim Ross.
Mark, would you have expected the special effects to be lesser quality in a parody type show like the Orville?
It's interesting because the aesthetic, it's very much a Star Trek: The Next Generation aesthetic. It's not all the bells and whistles like Star Trek Discovery does. I mean, Star Trek Discovery, I think, is trying to go toe-to-toe with big modern-day features. I think the Orville doesn't have that weight of delivering, that kind of stuff on them. Now, of course, they've found their voice and they found their footing as the show's gone on, and I think the shows have become much more ambitious in terms of visual effects. The visual effects are certainly competent in this episode, the Charlize Theron one, but it does every now and then kind of look a little like Galaxy Quest. It has that kind of super clean look, but it doesn't ruin it at all, because again, they don't need to be brilliantly cutting edge. They just need to be entertaining and tell a story that has some meaning to it. And I think that's what the problem with Star Trek Discovery has been, and the problem with Picard, among many, is
Yeah.
they have to do something fresh. They have to do something important in caps, at least in their mind. And it's the same problem when you have Luke Skywalker throwing away his lightsaber and not being the hero we wanted to be.
Thank you.
It's the natural desire to, oh my God, I know what everyone's expecting. Maybe I should go against that and do something different. Well, the problem is that often what people are expecting is something that has dramatic payoff. Their expectations are not unfounded. And if you go against that, you're not telling a good story. You're just telling a shitty story where you could have had an opportunity to do something wonderful. So I think
one of the great things about Space Command is we know the story is first.
Yes. Well, also, it's a hopeful vision of the future. The idea is like with Star Trek, it inspired me, it inspired tons of people, and it's continued to do so. And it's like, we can create a better future. We can, reaching across boundaries and barriers, we can, we have a responsibility, but also a great opportunity to make the world a place worth living. And we've done that. I mean, all of us who grew up with Star Trek and the ones who became astronauts and space scientists and teachers and just loving parents because of what Star Trek gave us. And Star Trek always had that very strong message of do not see something different as something that's the enemy. Look, the difference is not something to be feared. The difference is something to be embraced. And I get whatever that means.
Vive la différence.
Yes, well, I get infinite diversity and infinite combinations, or whatever the hell that stood for. That medallion Roddenberry tried to fob off on the fans. So, but the notion was correct, and so Space Command, yes, is very much about a hope, vision, of the future. And of course, if you make a robot into Mr. Potato Head, I know he's not a robot; he's an alien, mechanical, whatever the hell he is. But yes, that was Mr. Potato Head's in the future. Okay, fine. So
they actually changed the Mr. back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Pretty crazy, but
it was Potato Head.
There is an interesting question of that, because you always have to say, well, how much will the present day references, how much will they logically be in a future world? And one of the questions someone was asking me is, Bill Mooney in Space Command wears glasses, and they were saying, well, in the future you won't have glasses. You'll be able to cure that. Well, we have LASIK now, but a lot of people wear glasses anyway. So, it's like, I think glasses are going to be around for a while. That's my guess.
Also, I learned recently that you can become too old to get LASIK, the procedure. Yeah. So,
really?
I'd better hurry up.
Yeah. Yeah, but then
it seems like the Orville's kind of stuck in 21st century pop art and pop culture.
Yeah, and I think that weakens. I think the more they move away from those kind of jokes, the better. From my vantage point, it wasn't a terrible thing. This subplot of the practical joke, I mean, and him stealing the other guy's leg, but it just was like, they were just, I'm glad the show has found its voice and is not doing that kind of stuff as much.
Again, that's one of the great things about Space Command, is that you're not putting your agenda or your universe before your story.
No.
No.
And well, it's fortunately, because Elaine and I have written so much for so many shows, and you always have to find the voice of the show, whether it's DS9 or Next Gen or any of the shows I've written for. You always have to find who are these characters, what is the world, and the great opportunity with Star Trek was that you could tell a story that was deeply meaningful to you, but also would kind of expand the envelope of what Trek was without breaking it. So when I came up with Far Beyond the Stars for DS9, or even First Contact for Next Gen, the episode, it was a great opportunity to tell a really meaningful story within that universe. It's rare in television to have that opportunity. Yeah, there I am in Space Command. That's part of the aliens. And
you look like you're in your PJs.
I know
it's a throwback 60s astronaut suit.
We own 14 spacesuits, including this one, and that spacesuit was actually originally made for Jane the Virgin, and the helmet was made for the Carol Burnett show. So I'm always, Kickstarter's been very good to me. But I promise you that our characters will not be wearing that spacesuit.
Kickstarter has been very, very good to me.
But I thought it'd be very, very funny for me to be in that spacesuit, talking about Space Command and all of that.
Pitching
So
Space Command.
I love
yeah.
this video. Yeah, I love this video.
Yeah.
both with my Mr. Sci-Fi persona and me doing doing little commercials for Space Command. Fortunately I don't take myself too serious. I take the work seriously. That's for me, whether I'm doing the Twilight Zone Companion or Space Command or any of it, it's always my A game. But me, I can be funny. I can dress up like a overinflated spaceman or whatever.
Yeah, you have to be able to laugh at yourself.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. And fortunately, my wife and I have been together for 44 years and married for 43. So I don't
Mazel tov.
Yeah, so she laughs at me all the time, and that's fine. So
I'm not going to comment on that, man.
By the way, if I haven't mentioned before, I'm such a big fan of Far Beyond the Stars and First Contact, two of the greatest episodes of Star Trek ever made.
Thanks so much, and I'm really, really proud of both of them, particularly Far Beyond.
And lots of your other work too, but
yeah, Well, when you're a writer, when I grew up watching Star Trek and Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, you saw that one episode of one show could change your life forever, for the better. You could learn a profound lesson, whether it's City on the Edge of Forever or any of the great Twilight Zone episodes or any of these things. And so, as a writer, you hope, you pray that you will have an opportunity to do something like that yourself, that you'll be able to create something that will be a force for good in the world. And so, so with Far Beyond the Stars and so many of the things I've been honored to work on, it's I'm just so grateful.
I think Far Beyond the Stars will have a lasting impact that at this point we probably can't tally.
Yes, I agree.
Mark,
yeah.
If I can ask you a really quick question about this, Avery Brooks, we had Sirach on our channel, and he was basically telling us that Avery wasn't being hired because he was kind of on this, like, not blacklisted, but what how is it possible for somebody like Avery to be not be given work?
I don't know, and I don't really know Avery Brooks well. I met him when we were shooting Far Beyond the Stars, which he also directed. But it's a very hard career to keep going in TV and film. It's very corrosive. And I created a roundtable 28 years ago of writers and directors and actors and producers that meets weekly, several thousand members, because I wanted to create a supportive atmosphere in Hollywood, because it can just wear you down. And particularly for actors of color, one of the things in Space Command that was a very high priority for me was to have roles that were not stereotypical. Because so many of my friends who are black, or so many of my friends who are Latino, they're constantly having auditions for gang member roles and all of these things. And even with my older actor friends who have to, audition for roles where they're playing someone coming down with Alzheimer's, it's like, enough is enough. You want them to be able to play fully rounded human beings, who, like you see in the real world. And so, for instance, one of our actors, Victor Manso, he's from Venezuela, and I cast him as, Lieutenant Jorge Borges on the Paladin, our hero ship. And one of my high priorities was to do a scene entirely in Spanish. And so we have a scene with his father and his fiancée. And this was done we did a special pandemic episode during the pandemic where our actors shot their own scenes in their own homes with their own cameras. And I wrote the scene in Spanish. And actually, I wrote the father's role for my friend Guillermo del Toro to play, but Guillermo was busy with the film he's making, so he couldn't do it. But it was so fun to write that, and it's my favorite scene in that episode. And but yeah, so Avery Brooks, it's entirely possible. So he was offered roles that he found demeaning, and after playing, in Deep Space Nine, which was a it was anything but a stereotypical role. It was, Cisco was great. Maybe he just didn't have the belly for it anymore, or maybe
Avery Brooks didn't even want to do Deep Space Nine. He had to be pushed into it, I think, by his wife.
Yeah, well, good for his wife. Actors, it's very hard, because imagine a career where if you say yes to the wrong thing or no to the right thing, your career could be over. There are movie stars who are still movie stars, and then there's a ton of movie stars who were movie stars 20 years ago, and where are they now? And so much is out of your control when you're an actor, particularly, that I think particularly if you've earned millions of dollars, it probably comes to a point where you just say, well, hell with it. I don't need to be going in for auditions or dealing with idiots anymore, or any of the
I'd
Mark,
like to.
Mark, that is exactly what Mandy Patkins says several times in several jobs.
yes, yes, yes.
You know what I'm talking about, right, with Mandy?
Well, I could name any number of actors. I won't, but who just are so sick of it, and that's why with Space Command, I decided to keep power. And this is my baby. My wife and I write, direct, and produce it. Every decision is ours. We cast who we want to cast. We don't have to ask permission of anyone.
You're the boss. You don't have to answer to anyone.
Yes, but also we treat everyone with equal respect. Everyone has a voice. Everyone can come to us with a problem or a concern or a note or a suggestion. It's just I think I mentioned once before on a previous interview, where when I took Andreas Katselis to lunch when I was producing Sliders, he told me that I was the only producer who had ever taken him to lunch, and I was astonished because he was such an amazing talent, and he should have, if anyone should have been hugely respected, it was him. And yet, it's common coin for actors to be disrespected and treated badly, which is why some of them, when they become movie stars, act so badly because they've been treated so badly. And that's not appropriate. But I can empathize with that simply because, man, if you've been treated like crap for 20 years, it's hard not to have
the fire in the belly might go out.
Well, yes, and and actors have to more than almost anyone else in the industry. Actors have to live. They have to be in that moment. They have to be that person. It takes enormous commitment to what you're doing. I mean, if I'm writing and I have a bad day, no one sees it.
Right.
Actors have to be on their game all the time. Or you say, oh well, Jesus Christ, what's happened to them? That performance was crap. And so they're very vulnerable, and I think that makes it very hard. So, but again, I don't know. I can't speak for Avery Brooks because I don't know what's going on with him. But if he ever said he wanted to be in Space Command, I'd say, come on, come on board.
I wanted to ask you, Mark, if it's okay, about your forthcoming book about greenlighting yourself, which is what
you mean this one?
That's the one right there. Yeah.
Yes,
that's what you've done and what you're doing, and
wait, now you can show it again. Oh, wait,
telling
there's the book.
Telling people that are just starting out in the industry, how to get it done on the inside, without having to go to Hollywood and deal with producers and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Thanks. Well, it's because, as I mentioned with my roundtable, I started hearing about crowdfunding. I started hearing about YouTube channels and web series and all these things, and I started to realize, I think the real turning point for me was when I co-wrote and directed and executive produced World Enough in Time with George Takei on Star Trek New Voyages. And I saw
that was great.
Yeah, thank you. But it was like I realized that the fan films were getting to a point of skill and production that was really starting to dovetail with what the Hollywood pros were doing. And I realized that you could do something totally outside of the studio and network system and tell a story and create something wonderful. And, it has its own challenges, such as raising money via Kickstarter. But that said, it offers freedom. And just like you had independent films emerge, 20, 30 years ago, where you started to get films that were outside the studio system, I think that's starting to happen with TV now. And more power to us. And the fact that I'm now creating 6 shows with the creators of Farscape and The Expanse and on, in a new Rod Serling show, is because they all want to be...
What? Hold on. The new Rod Serling show?
Well, it's something I'm in conversations with the Serling family about. There's Rod, after 1956, Rod dictated all of his scripts. And he would lie by the swimming pool in the back of his house, his Olympic-sized swimming pool, and he would dictate his scripts into, at first, a wire recorder and then cassette recorders. That came available. And it was thought that all these recordings were lost. And then they just found 1,000 hours of them.
Just 1,000 hours.
Yeah. And so I came up with this idea for a show called Rod Serling's After Twilight, that Rod would narrate from those materials.
That's brilliant.
And we would film scripts that Rod wrote that were never
After
produced.
Twilight.
Yeah. And so
nice.
we're gonna have scripts.
Tribute for him.
Well, Rod wrote 2 Twilight Zone pilots that never got made. They're great. He wrote scripts for Night Gallery that never got made. He wrote scripts
other than the time element, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
2 other pilots. One was called The Happy Place, and the other was called I Shot an Arrow into the Air. He used that title on a completely different episode, but this was an hour script, and so so it would be that Serling's unmade scripts from the 50s he wrote that no one has seen since. It would be scripts by other writers, Matheson and so forth, and by writers now like Neil Gaiman and so forth. So N.K. Jemisin or whoever wants to play. But it would be, but Rod would be the narrator. Yes.
So, what's the time frame on that? When's that going to happen?
Well, let's see. What time is it?
Comes on at 8.
Yeah,
you're on a different time zone, dude.
Well, I'm talking to Rod's the estate's agent, and also I to the 2 daughters, Jody and Anne. And again, these people have known me forever since
Well, you're the world's foremost authority on Rod Serling. Yeah.
Yes, but I got to know them very well because I started writing that book when I was 21, and it came out when I was 27, and I was literally crawling through Rod Serling's attic and going through his files and all of that stuff. The
Eating Carol Serling's cookies.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you a great story about Carol because there was one room that was just the awards he had won. This is 2 years after Rod died, and so there were the 6 Emmys and the Peabody Awards and all of that. And when they started up the Twilight Zone magazine, Carol was an editor on it, but she didn't really know science fiction. So she asked me to educate her about science fiction. So I said, well, there's these conventions called the World Science Fiction Convention. They give out the most prestigious award in science fiction. It's called the Hugo Award, and it's this rocket ship on like a wooden base. And she went into the trophy room and she brought out a Hugo, one of 3 that Rod won, and she said, "Oh, so that's what these are. We were using them as doorstops."
Oh my gosh!
And what I should have said is, "Do you mind if I take one home?" but I wasn't that.
You've got 3. I just want one.
Wow, what?
Exactly, but
Yeah, you got bookends. Come on.
Oh, we just got the doorstep.
yeah. But we'll see if this comes to fruition.
So now you've gone back to the estate and.
Yeah. And
they know you, and you're working with them.
Yeah, and so far Jody Serling has been very encouraging about it, as has Rick Berg, who's the representative, and I have to talk to Anne about it. But I mean, hopefully they'll let me do it because I think it would be great. Because what I'm saying it to them is, look, Rod Serling is more than just a guy who was the host on Twilight Zone and Night Gallery, and when they bring those shows back, they really aren't. He was the Arthur Miller of television. And the fact that his work is not, all these scripts that he wrote that no one has.
He was already a huge star before the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, he was the top writer working in television. He just got sick of censorship, and he created Twilight Zone to avoid censorship. But I think he's a brilliant writer, and I think these scripts should be made, and I'm eager to help make that happen.
We are so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Mark, one little quick question about that. What studios are you talking to about airing this? Hulu, Amazon, CBS, Paramount?
Here's what the plan is. I've created something I'm calling the Showrunners Network, and basically we're gonna shoot 6 2-hour backdoor pilots and take them to the buyers as a slate of 6 series. And so Rockne O'Bannon and Mark Ferguson, Hawk Ospey, and my friend Joe Dougherty, who was executive producer on Pretty Little Liars for 7 years, and I'm reaching out to other friends of mine, and depending on I've been talking to Neil Gaiman, and it depends partially on their deals, because sometimes they're locked down by deals with specific studios or networks. But I've been reaching out to Neil Gaiman and Ron Moore and George R. R. Martin.
Those are 2 great guys to reach out to.
Yes,
especially Neil. Yeah.
He's a terrific guy. He's wonderful. But again, we'll see who wants to play. But everyone loves this new model where you create the show, you put who you want in it, and you rock and roll. And it's not development, because all of them have been in situations where they developed shows that didn't go forward that should have. And it's just heartbreaking. I mean, there was a great show that George R. R. Martin created called Doorways that was a parallel Earth show that came out. It was shot the same year that Sliders was shot at the pilot. And I liked it better than Sliders. And I say this as someone who produced Sliders. And I'd love to make that show. And we'll see if that happens. But, we'll see. But then we'll go. I've been talking to executives at Amazon and Netflix and all over the place. We'll see who's willing to take the ride. I mean, I never assume a studio or a network is going to be intelligent. I hope they will. I hope they will.
Well, we found out that Amazon gave Stargate a home,
Yes.
from the purchase of MGM. So that's great news.
Yes. And again, I've worked with many executives who are very smart. We'll see what happens, but for me, the main thing is creating the work and sharing it with the fans. Because whereas I never assume a studio or a network is intelligent. I know the fans are. I mean, I'm exactly the same as my audience. I'm what excites me excites my audience, and I'm very blessed to be that way. I'm as much a fan as anybody, and so it's great.
Mark, we only have Mark for a little bit longer, so I need to dive back into the episode. And
Sure.
Mark, what did you like most about it, and what were your favorite parts of the episode?
I thought it was really interesting, and in a way, they didn't really go deep enough into this. I thought it was really interesting that it was about you guys were all going to die, and I saved you. And you could be in the 29th century. If this hadn't been an episode of the Orville, that actually could have been like a freestanding movie. That notion of
Hey Jay,
everyone's going to die. Everyone's.
And let me just Mark, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say welcome to Jay Lee, who's one of the actors.
Great.
What's up, Jay? What's up, dude?
Congrats on the good work. But I really like that notion of they would have all died and she saved them. But of course, that wasn't really played out, but it was fun. And it was also very fun where he says, well, I don't want to get in this relationship too quickly. I want to take it slow. And then you cut to them in bed saying, well, or we could.
I love that long tag. It's like, or we can do this way.
Yeah. It's, but there's an amiability to the show. There's an affection to the show that I really, really like. This is clearly not just product. It's something that people are having a great time doing. It's got a great quality, a great spirit to it, and this episode was just super, super fun. And I thought Charlize Theron was really fun, and it was great that she turned out to be the villain in the piece. Obviously, so that Kelly was actually right, and
that was so great.
Yeah.
If you look at Kelly's expression the whole time, she's just doing these dirty eye looks back and forth. Yes. I love that.
Especially that somebody like Charlize Theron, a huge name like her, would be willing to put on all the prosthetic makeup and everything. That was very cool.
It was fun. It was very, very fun. So I really liked that. And it's just, I thought it was the other thing that I should mention about the Orville that I really like is just the notion of a solidly crafted show. Like where the stories are solidly crafted. In other words, they set something up, they pay it off. It isn't like Discovery or Picard, where it just takes a weird left turn, and all of a sudden it's like, where are we? What's going on? And also, it's people who are there for each other, which of course is the premise that Star Trek was built upon, but has left behind on Discovery and Picard. A lot of these characters are like, who are these people? And again, that's not to badmouth out to anyone who's a fan of those shows, but for me, I'm always rather exhausted by trying to, follow the logic of some of Star Trek Discovery's episodes. Whereas
I heard somebody refer to Star Trek Discovery the other day as Chekhov's dog.
Oh my gosh,
that's funny. That's funny.
I wanna thank. I really do want to thank Jay Lee for dropping in, and he's being in the chat and listening. We're all big fans, Jay, and it's an honor to have you here. And thanks for hopefully we'll have you on the panel someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if everybody's unfamiliar about this, Jay Lee has his show on his YouTube channel called In My Trailer. The guy from Two Black Dudes, and so.
Mark, you were talking before about not actors not having control, and what Jay has done. Jay has going and doing his own YouTube channel, taking back control, and I think that's fantastic that actors are doing that.
Well, again, something I write about in Greenlighting Yourself, the new book. If you can't just bitch, you can't just complain. At the end of the day, the real question is, are you going to? You can either, anytime you encounter an obstacle, you can either step back or step up, and the ones who step back are the ones who never amount to anything. The ones who step up, they're the ones who create all the stuff we love. And we have such opportunity now with YouTube channels and the internet, and here we are all talking to each other wherever we're located. These are miraculous things, and but you have to take responsibility. You have to say, okay, if things aren't the way I want them, what's an alternative that would be?
Are you going to do something about it?
Yeah. There's there's a line in a game of pool, a Twilight Zone episode, where Jonathan Winters says, Jack Klugman, you're never going to get anything accomplished with your mouth. You know, it's like
Huh.
you have to actually do something. And so I don't hang around with people who just are stuck in the complaint.
Coming from Jonathan Winters, that's actually kind of funny.
It was great. It was great. But the thing is, you know, everyone starts with an idea, and then you have to, okay, let's put it this way. Someone once asked me the secret to my success. And I said, the secret to my success is once I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And people know that whether it's easy or hard, I'm going to get to the finish line. That's true of Space Command. It was true of the Twilight Zone Companion. It's true of everything I've done. It doesn't matter whether it's easy or hard. I'm going to get it done. And that way people can count on me. That's how I get people like Doug Jones and Bob Picardo and all these wonderful actors aboard, because they know that I'm the real deal. I'm not, you know, there's no bullshit. And
so the secret is determination.
Yes, well, determination, but also building a team that sort of shares your vision. But I'm always the
persistence.
Yeah.
Takes down resistance.
Well, persistence, good humor, validating other people. You know, treating everyone with respect, and also just saying. See, the lovely thing is that when you in this medium in TV, when you do your job right, it lasts forever. It lasts for decades. I mean, there's stuff I wrote when I was, you know, in my 20s that people are still enjoying this moment around the world. I remember one time I was doing a pilot for NBC that we shot in Thailand, and I went into my hotel room. First thing, I got in my hotel room, put down my suitcases, turned the television on, and on the TV was an episode of Smurfs that I'd written in Thai. You know, dubbed.
Oh my gosh!
And I thought, wow,
Oh, no.
you know, and
how cool is that?
Yeah, but again, it's like you're going to push that rock up the mountain, you know, and if it rolls back down, you keep pushing it. I mean, it's like, you know, this is not for the lighthearted, but also the rewards are wonderful, and I don't mean financial rewards. They can, you know, that can be good. One of the things I talk about in Greenlighting Yourself is, do you need to be rich? Because if you do, then the studios and the networks are the way to go. But if you don't, there's so many other creative avenues. Not needing to be rich is actually liberating. We all want to make enough to pay our bills and take care of our kids and all that stuff. But you really kind of have to get clarity around what you're trying to accomplish and what you're willing to let go of and what you want to hold on to. And, you know, so that's liberating. All that stuff is very liberating.
It's the get her done attitude.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, because most people, 99% of people, they really aren't committed to what they say they want. Or, you know, it's like most people, the moment they encounter any obstacle, they fade, they flake. And, you know, and so it's important to look at who does that and who doesn't. The people who really dig in and actually work harder and get to the finish line, those are the people you want to work with. Those are the people that want it. Well, and it's like, you know, and then just you know, and then just yeah. But what you find is that there's an enormous enthusiasm and passion with those people, whether it's Guillermo del Toro or Ray Bradbury, who was another dear friend and mentor, or Serling, or Mathis, and any of these guys. There's passion, there's enthusiasm and commitment, and that's what it takes, you know. So there you go.
Thanks for this, Jay.
Yeah, you were doing the boom already there. Wow.
Yeah. So cool. So yeah. So you know. So any other questions regarding the episode? I'm happy to say anything else. I mean, I think it's funny because that at the end where he was explaining, well, we don't mess with the timeline, and then she vanishes. It was like I was trying to follow that tech at the end. It kind of goes by real quick. It's like, well, what are you doing? I know you're closing the wormhole, and she vanishes. But it's like, aren't you guys alive when you weren't supposed to be or something? And then aren't you? I actually got a
little problem with the physics of that in the time travel, because if she actually went back, the wormhole was destroyed, which means she never went back in time. Why is that still looking up?
Yeah. Yes. It's
that was a question I had. Like, why are you looking up, not straight ahead?
There's a lot of paradoxes, and it's kind of like, but that was just kind of the techno babble that got you through the episode, really, you know, because they said, wouldn't it be great if we had Charlize play this character? He falls in love with her, or he at least sleeps with her, and then she turns out to be a villain, and you know, that was fun. So
or an alien, even.
Yeah. The bones of the show were very, very solid, and it was great fun, and it was a huge thrill to see Charlize Theron in that episode.
Would you guess, Mark? Would you guess just from watching this episode that they would bring her back in the future for other episodes?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like somebody on the show has to have an idea. It's like with any character on any show. It's like you have to have an idea that isn't just going around the track again with the same story. So you have to find the way to make that story new and fresh. And I mean, but sometimes it's very funny because with Bob Picardo, when we had him on in the Space Command pilot, he was so great. Originally, we were going to just have him be in the pilot, and it was like, let's bring him back. We love Bob, and because he and Doug Jones in the scene together are just magic, and so we're bringing him back. So that's really fun, really great. And yes,
Hey,
there was
Mark.
yeah.
I actually have an idea. Seth is actually going to be trolling Star Trek. He can have her as a future descendants of her, like they did with Tasha Yar. It's like, hey, Tasha Yar's descendant kid, future descendant of Charlize Theron. So she can actually technically bring her
That's
back.
too derivative, though.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean,
exactly.
again,
I think the
it's-
bigger question is, will Charlize Theron come back to the Orville?
you never know.
She
You never
Because
know.
I'm sure they'd be happy to have her back.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. But
It's
you
a
never know.
reality kind of thing.
Yeah, but you really want to utilize them well because you don't want them just like hanging out for no reason. So, but we'll see. I mean, I think they're on track, and I think they're very talented people, and I think they're doing a good job. So
It's the kitty.
yay. The cat.
For all we know, they've already written it and she's already appeared in it.
You never know. We'll find out, won't we? That's
Yeah.
the wonderful world of television. So great. So any last questions, guys, or anything else you need, or because I'm
Yeah, Mark. Just congratulations on Space Command.
thank you.
I want to remind everybody to watch Mr. Sci-Fi and contribute to the Space Command Kickstarter. Don't forget they got the DVDs and the Blu-rays coming, and we have till June 4th to help on this Kickstarter campaign. Thank you, Mark,
Yeah.
for being here.
I
Thanks.
love Mr. Sci-Fi.
Thank you. And again, that's Mr. Sci-Fi on YouTube. I post stuff all the time, not just about Space Command, but about every aspect of science fiction. So if you have a favorite book or TV show or movie that you want me to talk about, I'm happy to. And that's a big part of the fun of it. So thanks very much, guys. I love being
And
here. I love seeing
Jay Lee says Space Command so dope.
Hey, thank you so much. Well, great. So we'll talk to you again soon, guys. Thanks so much.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
Later, dude.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye.
Take care.
Hey, PJ, I want to address Paulie's little comment. He asked a question to me in the chat. I'm not giving you room because the Dodgers still suck like a vacuum. See? Hello.
All right. Well, it was an honor to have Mark on there, and Jay, thank you so much for dropping in. It's an honor to have you here. You are welcome anytime, Jay. And hopefully we'll have you on for maybe to talk about your character sometime. I wanted to ask Maria what she thought about this episode. What was your favorite part about this episode, Maria, and then Alicia?
Well, I was laughing at the part. Well, actually, lots of it when she was being concerned, not jealous, and all of the things that she does, even the part that you showed right there about when she was drinking, while she's standing in the middle between them, and she's just drinking, kind of casually, acting like she's not bothered by it, but she clearly was. That's me. It was a great episode because it was definitely showing that she was concerned, but at the same time the realistic aspect of the fact that she was jealous, and for good reason. I would be jealous of her too.
Let me just say thanks, Jay. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate the thanks for the appreciation, Jay. We appreciate that as well. And like I said, you are always welcome. Thanks for dropping in and hanging out, Jay. It means a lot. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Seriously, dude. Seriously, man.
It means a lot that you dropped by, Jay. I appreciate it.
And people watching, sub to Jay. He needs more. He already has 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
Some
Jay.
needs more.
Jay, when you hit like 5K, Jay, you got to have a big 5K celebration or something.
Hey, I still say he got 1K. He needs a jam session. Scott, you playing with Penny Gerald Johnson on vocals. Come on, Jay. We need a little celebration here.
Congrats on the 1K. That's absolutely right. Congrats on the 1K. Alicia, what was your favorite part of this episode?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think one of my favorite parts is the so-called date with PRIA, where they're seeing that planet simulation. I like that scene a lot. I also like where they're exploring, and she says, "I'm not the one playing." Because Ed confronts her and says, "I'm not the one playing Nancy Drew here," which is so funny. Because I'm like,
Yeah, that's great.
I was wondering how
but I
many
love it
people
so
might
much.
relate
I
to
love that so much.
Can you imagine how many people were like, "What's Nancy Drew?"
Who is Nancy Drew?
I know, Well, I know, but
That's a funny reference to the 20th century as opposed to Star Trek Discovery, which is a useless reference to anything. Just personal opinion, sorry.
I'm putting up Jay's channel first, and then I'm also putting up this Mark's channel as well. Make sure you sub to both of them if you're not, guys. That's Jay Lee's channel. He's doing his In My Trailer. He's doing his In My Trailer episodes, and if you're not sub to Mr. Sci-Fi, here's the channel. I do want to just really quickly run through the episode, and of course, when we have guests here, it's a little different because there's so much we want to ask them. There we go.
Oh, Alicia, you never finished talking.
Go ahead, Alicia.
No, I'm just saying that there's so much in this one episode, but I love the fact that it just like there's so much crammed into this one episode. It's just like, because it doesn't seem like it's as long as it is. It seems like it just so much happens. It really is. And I love the fact that the behind the scenes book, The World of the Orville, talks about this episode too. It is really, really cool because it has like a concept art of what PRIA would have looked like. Until they
What is that book?
Wow.
The World of the Orville.
Oh, wow.
Where did you get that, Alicia?
Christmas.
Oh,
Christmas. Got it for
I want
Christmas.
one.
Gonna have to find that book.
Wow.
Yep, I love this book. It has so much information in it.
Does anybody on the panel have a model of the Orville other than PJ?
Not yet,
I don't have one actually.
You don't have
I
one?
don't
Oh,
have
okay.
one.
but I do.
I
have
know
the
what to get you
soundtrack,
for
though.
Hanukkah.
No.
But I do have the soundtracks. Season 2 right here beside me.
Cool.
Oh my God.
You've got it all. You've
Yeah.
got the
Of course I do.
the kit and everything. Yeah.
Need a
Mhm.
Nice.
At least you don't have
Nice.
to judge out. At least you don't have to judge out things like Jay Lee does.
No.
Good. I'm
Now-
like, Jar Jar.
I want to ask this question. I want to ask this question of all of you. Should we believe PRIA that they were going to die? I mean, should we outright believe that what she's telling is the truth?
I believe that was the truth. Yes. Because
Well-
you got to say what Gordon was the best pilot in the fleet. That's why Ed had him as the pilot, and he couldn't do it. He said it's above my pay grade, Captain, which means they were going to die if she didn't interfere.
Okay.
I actually believed her.
What about you, Maria?
Well, from the start, I kind of didn't trust her anyway, and so it was hard to believe that that was true. But he does make a good point. What would have happened? But then they've gotten themselves out of other sticky situations without her. So
Yeah, but he didn't know how to map the actual path of. He didn't know how to map the dark matter bubbles. She did.
yeah, I mean, I guess it's believable in the sense that after she was honest about it, why she wanted to keep him alive. Okay, probably yeah, because she wanted to pawn off that ship. So
What about you, Alicia? Did you believe? Do you believe PRIA?
Well, because the time loop is so fluid, basically, because time stories are so fluid because there's so many infinite possibilities. I think in that time period, it was true, but in another time period, it may have not been true. So I think that's the reason why she said originally you guys were all supposed to die. So, and the original one, probably Gordon wasn't even the pilot, and Ed had someone else as the navigator pilot. So I think that's the reason why she said that, because she didn't know how fluid time could be. So that's why she said that, I think.
Going back to all timey, wimey, wibbly wobbly, if the wormhole was destroyed and she never came back, why is the Orville still alive? So was she actually lying or not?
But I'm just saying there's infinite possibilities. In one timeline, she did live. And one possibility that they didn't survive. And another possibility they, did survive, but it was a different crew. And another possibility she
Sort
was
of
in charge.
parallel universes.
Exactly.
Schrodinger's period.
So many
Got it.
possibilities, because time is just so fluid. We never know. There's infinite possibilities.
Well, I also watched it a couple of times to see if I missed something in the fact that maybe she had gone back before, or she had to go back, a few times to catch that. Or how some people, well, not for real, but in some movies where they go through time back and forth, trying to catch that particular period in time. So I thought maybe perhaps she already figured that out from a different timeline. I don't know.
Gil, what do you think? Should we believe her at face value?
I was so smitten. I did. I'm just a big dumb galoot guy. The screenwriter in me almost immediately sniffs out something that's odd or off. But not on this episode. No, I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I was Ed.
Gotcha. Now, was anybody surprised that Ed? Because it does seem like, all right, like seriously, it would seem like that this lady had too much access, right, to engineering, for example, should be off limits to guests. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because you're not going to just hand over the keys to someone that's nothing about, basically, without background checks and everything like that. I mean, that's like handing someone that just walked into the White House. Here you go. Here's the keys. Here's the national secrets. Like, wait a minute here.
Yeah, but you've got like a lonely guy and an opportunity, and things get distorted.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a real life scenario. You're stranded at sea. You get picked up by the Navy. They're not going to let you wander around the ship. They're not going to give you a tour of the engine room. They're going to tell you all the details of what this does.
Well, if you're the captain of the ship,
and you sit with the person, no, the crew, your CEO will remind you regulations. You can't do this. We don't know this person.
Yeah, but this is television.
I'll give you an example in real life. Now, I have actually toured Air Force 2, the vice president's airplane. And they told us that there was only certain places of that plane that we could tour and we could not tour. So they said, nope, you can't go here, you can't go here, you can't go here. And also the Air Force One was on that same airfield on Andrews Air Force Base. And they said, if you step on that grass, guess what? There's going to be a bunch of MPs waiting for you.
Deadly force.
A little surprise for you.
Yep.
So they told us straight up, you can't wander here on the plane, even though you're touring it, and it's perfectly legit for you to tour it. But they did not let us tour all of that plane. So I know that firsthand, that you're not going to get to tour all of things. And for them to do that with PRIA, wait a minute, red alert, Ed. No, don't do it.
I think it was in service of the story,
Probably, because he was smitten.
Your real life examples make sense.
It is in service of the story. Guys, I'm going to put up a picture, and I want to ask each of you if any of you thought about this picture when you were watching this episode. Did any of you think about this character? You guys know who he is?
Oh yeah,
yes, that's Matt Fury. It's the guy from the future from Star Trek who was a thief.
He was in the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So yes, I thought of him automatically. Yes, because it was originally supposed to be Robin Williams, but then at the last minute they said no, they couldn't do Robin Williams, so they switched it.
Now, wait a minute. I may be getting confused on these episodes. We're not talking about the Charlize Theron episode.
No. Seth trolls Star Trek.
Next
Gen. He trolls.
No. I know about the Matt Frewer episode. I mean the Orville episode that we were talking about.
It mirrors this episode.
It mirrors it because it's a major movie
What-
star on the television series, basically.
Okay, so
Well,
we
and the
were
same
talking
plot
about
line.
the one with Charlize Theron.
Yeah, exactly. The thing
Yeah,
is that
it didn't make me think of this at all.
okay. It mirrors this episode in the sense that there's a time traveler who's going back to get like this in Star Trek: Next Generation. He would go back and get technology. He was a thief, but it mirrors this episode in many ways. Yeah, or parallels in many ways. Maria, did you think about this guy at all? This character at all?
No, but now that you mention it, no, I didn't think about that.
I am a huge fan of Matt Frewer.
Trash can man.
I've loved everything he's done. He was great in Watchmen,
He was good in Falling Skies.
Dawn of the Dead, 2004, Max Headroom. You know, you name it. He's always good.
He was good in Falling Skies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Honey, I Shrunk the Kid. Yep, he was good in that one.
Did you guys enjoy the comedy in this episode with the fact that his with like Kelly's jealousy and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was gonna.
I would,
Okay, you said comedy. I thought it was gonna mention the practical joke part.
I'm kind of childish. I really laughed when he got out of bed and tripped when his leg was gone. I'm sorry. I was cracking up because when he came out and he's like, "Look," I mean, I'm sorry. It was just funny to me.
I like to see
It
the
was.
comedy on the Orville move a little further away from the fart and dick jokes to more, highbrow humor. Hopefully.
They have
Well,
that,
season
but
2.
I think it's okay.
It
to
was very
bring
funny,
them.
yes. Especially when
It
they're
is.
exploring, she knocks on the door, goes, "Housekeeping!"
I think we're talking very seriously.
Oh yeah, the Mr. Potato scene, yes, definitely Matt Ryan for sure. That was funny too.
I really liked the follow-up episode when Charlize Theron came back and she was really mean, and she had the prosthetic stuff on. I thought she really got to stretch her acting muscles there.
You're joking, right?
No. It was like she was a whole different person.
And what are you talking about, Gil? What do
I
you
think
mean?
he's thinking of Talaya. I think he's mixing them up.
Are you joking or are you serious?
No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
Time travel and fart and dick jokes go a long way. Yes, they do, especially with Seth MacFarlane.
Went all the way to the 30th century almost.
Would you guys like to visit this planet that Ed takes her to?
As long as I avoid the cannibals.
Definitely in
And
the raccoons that want to eat you.
No, Raccoon God.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
the raccoon god.
Raccoon eating people. No, thank you. I will avoid them. I will stay in the simulator with Ed. Thank you.
I'm going to be a contrarian and say no. I'd rather stay on the Orville and look around and kind of soak up what's going on the ship.
I'll go there. Just avoid the
Things,
people.
Hobbit field when I see this land too. 'Cause I made the mention of this when I did the watch party. I said, this makes me think of the Lord of the Rings Hobbit kind of feel.
Oh, Hobbington in New Zealand? Yeah. Kinda.
I mean, I know it's
where George R. Martin said if he wasn't done with The Winds of Winter by the deadline, you'd be able to lock him into the Hobbit home until he got it done. That should have been enforceable by fans en masse.
That is an odd Hollywood kiss because normally the guy kisses the woman's upper lip. What happened here?
I think that they just.
Seth wasn't probably paying attention when he wrote it.
I think that he Seth MacFarlane just wanted reshoots of that scene.
Like Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman did. Like Halle Berry's like, let's do it again. I've deleted the scene when she kissed him.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Let's do it again.
Yeah, because I'm like, What the hell is going on with that?
Hurricane, monsoon.
Actually, if you look at that shot, you see almost all of Seth MacFarlane's face, and because he's the star, that might be the way that they did it that way.
Yep.
But I think the chances are it's probably got to do with the fact that he's the boss and he can get as many shots as he wants.
Good excuse. Too bad Jay's not here to defend that comment.
He's a good-looking man. He's a very smart man, a very funny man, very talented man. I'm sure he wouldn't abuse that privilege.
Nah, Seth wouldn't do anything like that.
This kiss, because the kiss comes.
He's
Scott
a
Grimes,
super
yeah.
guy.
Scott would, yeah, but Seth, nah.
This is also kind of like a show of his vulnerability, because when a woman grabs the man like that with the hand to do the kiss, it's an aggressive move. It's a very
Passionate.
yes, very passionate and it just shows his vulnerability. So that's how I saw it, was that he was kind of like a little schoolboy. Well, she was very much domineering.
That's a really good point.
Okay, I'm not a woman, so I never thought of that angle.
I guess it stuck in my mind, sort of. So yeah, I guess it was.
Because it's kind of the inverse of how it normally goes, right?
Yeah, she's taking
Yes,
control.
it is. Because normally the guy's the one that takes you in.
Yeah, that's why the man's lip is on kissing the woman's top lip.
Oh, Scott, he's so. I love how they did this. When I found out how they did it, I was like, oh, it's so funny.
The thing that struck me the most about this was that obviously he was wearing a green screen, hose or sleeve or whatever.
Yes,
but
it was.
but when he moved, it looked like he was missing that weight on that side. He was really well, his movement was really well done.
That's what I thought.
He said he had ended up with back problems afterwards because of that too. I remember reading that on the Orville Wikipedia thing. Yes, his back was really messed up afterwards because he was holding it up. So yeah.
Oh.
Well, my back is really messed up, and I'm not a huge TV star, so.
So that's not your excuse, huh?
But I knew that the leg was going to pop up somewhere, somehow down the road.
Yes.
And
it's just I was surprised it was in Pria's room.
Yes, in this serious scene, out comes his leg.
Joink. Yep, there's the dramedy bit of the series again.
The tension releaser. I would have thought it like popped up in like the dining area or something, but boom.
I'm
Tension
glad you
reliever.
showed in the dining area. People would have said, "Hey, I'm eating here."
Exactly. Dining area. Come on.
Don't encourage them, ELIHU. They may come up with that for another episode.
Yeah, I gotta say,
maybe on that one.
I didn't think I would enjoy the comedy as much as I do now. Component in the Orville. I really, it's kind of weird because like it's a very serious story going, and there's some episodes that are really serious topics, but at the same time, there's this parallel of comedy, which like I'm completely okay with it, to be honest.
I think the shows that are the most serious are the ones that are in the most need of comedy relief from time to time. And I think they do it really well on the Orville. Especially, the second half of season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, it wasn't Family Guy in space. It's like
a
little serious here, a little humor mixed in with the seriousness. Tension reliever every once in a while.
They were finding their
serious,
balance in the first half of the first season. And they got it.
I think it really took off after this episode.
Yeah. Man, look at that vein popping. He's really acting. It's a little bit low res, and you can still see that vein popping on his head.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed that shit.
Yep.
That's not
really
makeup, man. He's acting.
I told you he's really hurting soon after that.
And there's that line that he said, if you're a miner, that's what you call finding a vein.
Vein.
Oh, yes.
Finding a vein.
And yes, Time
Wah,
Profit. I've
wah.
thought about doing a stream that's just called In My PJs. Absolutely. I've said, actually, I used to say I was going to do that. I haven't done
Oh,
it.
that's a great idea.
Let's have a PJ.
PJ stream.
It's coming. It's coming in my PJs. Yeah. But all the panel has to show up in their PJs.
You know it.
Let's see. What did now? Does Charlene? So do you guys think the character Priya actually has feelings for Ed? Like if
Yeah, she had some genuine feelings, but it wasn't actually romantic. It was like, hey, right in the need.
I think at first she was playing her part, but later on, I think she probably started to like him when she saw that he was a genuine guy, especially when they were in bed and he says, you know, he hadn't been with anybody for a while.
Oh, blue chip.
Yep, you were blue chip. Oh my word! Like, where does that come from?
Furiosa herself.
No, I do not think she had general feelings for him. I think she was just using him.
I think she had a great chemistry at the party scene where they were talking about their backgrounds in Massachusetts, but
She could have done research on him.
that's what I'm saying.
why.
She was doing
Yeah.
that to use him, and she was obviously acting like she was close to him.
I
and
was
she put on a
completely
facade in
fooled.
front of him in order to get him close. So sadly, she
Normally,
did.
I sniff this stuff out. You know, the first 5 minutes, I know what's going to happen in the rest of the show. This one, I was completely oblivious, which
I
is
could smell
good.
it out of-
That's
could
the
smell
sign
it
of
out
a
of the
good
female. I could tell she
show,
was
a
fake.
well-written show.
Yeah.
The female, I could tell she was fake. I'm like, she's using him. She's using him because most females don't just start talking out of the blue about something like that. I mean, who's going to be talking about their hometown statue kind of thing? I mean, I don't, because we're my
I
hometown.
don't.
Go for the British.
They did on the Starship, on the Enterprise. They did.
I got to
in
tell
the
you that
lower
people,
decks.
people in Massachusetts, though, they all talk about that, about Salem Witch Museum. They all
People
do.
in Boston hate talking about Salem witch trials. Like, just go there. Shut up about it.
Yeah, they talk about Salem, but my hometown is known for where the British stormed it on the way to the White House. So,
Oh, really?
would you look at Junior Mint Captain? Oh, I love that. It's so
Did you
funny.
guys, did anybody, I mean, I remember watching this for the first time. I did not pick up it was Isaac when I watched this for the first time.
I did, because he was basically talking about that was how the show opened up. He's like, hey, this is joke. This is humor. Isaac. They was all talking about Isaac's humor, and there was about the Junior Mint. Because the episode was called A Junior Mint.
I do want to say something about this. I do want to say that I think that Seth's NBC Universal deal, which I think has been in the works for a while, I think that it's just going to promote us getting more people from Seinfeld on the show. And I've said this before. I think the NBC Universal deal for Seth, and he's with Disney and Fox. I think that it's just opening up his possibilities for doing cool stuff on the show.
Yeah, now that Disney is parent company, he can actually get Julia Louis-Dreyfus as a cameo, because she has a Disney contract.
Oh, okay. By the way, this was directed by Jonathan Frakes. I forgot to say that when Mark was on.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he directed cool stuff. Sorry, just me again.
Was this Frakes' first episode of Orville directing?
Yes, that was the only episode he directed.
I thought he directed more than one episode.
One.
Oh, he needs to direct more. Or get in front of the camera.
He's directed more, hasn't he, Alicia?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, he's only done one as far as I know. Let me double check to be sure.
I think he's
Of
done
the,
more.
like
of
three
the,
or
of the
four.
Orville?
Orville, he's only done one. I think he's done one.
I would bet that he's done more than one.
He's
of
done
the
more than
Orville.
one, I think. He's done like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Let me double check.
Let's see, director.
But well,
Wrong button.
let me see.
Okay, director. Discovery, LA, Chicago. 2, PRIA and Sanctuary.
There you go.
Okay, my mistake.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that's right. Because he did the one with because
2 is
Marina
greater
Services
than 1.
Okay, but it was only one for this season. Then it was only one for this season for the first.
You know, working 9 to 5.
Go Dolly.
Now, Jay, for example, Jay, who we saw drop in here before, Jay was kind of less prominent in this episode, I think, because we had the guest star as well. But of course, that happens. People they rotate the spotlight. What did you guys think about the aliens from the future?
Kind of reminded me of one of the aliens, the aquatic aliens from Enterprise. The Zindi, one of the Zindi crews. Yeah.
Really?
It made me think of a Stargate one.
Did you know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan played one of the reptilians?
Ooh.
Did I
Oh yeah,
know
my
that?
book has that information, that picture too, PJ. It has
Really?
that.
You couldn't see his face, but you could hear his voice.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I love Enterprise, and I thought the Zindi arc was really inspired,
Oh yeah.
although a lot of people dislike it.
I loved it.
A lot
Yeah,
of
they
people
never-
dislike Enterprise altogether, but I'll tell you what, compared to Star Trek,
SCD.
The
Work on them.
Unspeakable series.
Yeah, that little guy reminded me of that fish guy in the Enterprise.
You made me think of a Stargate one because that concept art for that is in here in the book too.
man, I am so psyched about that Stargate news. Oh, man.
Let me show that. I'm sorry.
Just like at the last minute.
That Stargate news is amazing, and that's just going to be good. That's going to be good for Stargate, and for I think that Brad has probably been
Talking to Jeff.
I actually I don't know. Listen, isn't it interesting? I don't want to get all conspiracy on this, but isn't it interesting? And isn't interesting because a lot of people have said that Stargate is a part of disclosure. Isn't it interesting?
You know what's funny? I've heard that too.
And maybe now Stargate is going to get real money behind it. Who knows?
Well, Joseph
Yeah.
Malozzi did say that Cordnemic's character Quinn, he is Schrodinger's Quinn because he could be alive and not alive at the same time since Ori destroyed the planet. He's Schrodinger's Quinn, so there's always hope for Cordnemic. Bring Jonas Quinn back.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else think of the what do they call it? These things from Matrix that float, the mechanical things from Matrix.
The Squiddies. The Squiddies.
Yeah. the
What
Squiddies.
are those called? I forget.
Not really. The Squiddies are more roundish.
No, the real name for those critters.
Don't remember.
LDG would know. I don't.
They just briefly
Morpheus talked about their name, but I don't remember what it is. I hated Revolutions and Revelations or whatever it was. The first one was great. It wasn't really conceived as a trilogy. Then they just tacked on more stuff, and it just became BS. And I think
the
that
new
the
one's
fourth
coming out
movie is
soon.
going to be really bad. That's just my opinion. Stargate is not going to be a remake or a reboot. It will pick up from where it left off, according to the news. Brad
Amanda's
Wright
already-
has talked to Amanda Tapping,
Tapping.
Michael Shanks.
Thanks.
There are going to be a
Richard.
lot of people. Joe Flanagan. There are going to be a lot of people, at least doing cameos, if nothing else. So it's going to be in the same universe, same timeline. It's going to be just regular old Stargate. Just now, it's going to have, the money behind it of the richest man on Earth. Once when I was watching Stargate, my brother, who's almost 10 years older than I am, looked at the TV and then he looked at me and he said, I've always wondered if this is some kind of a disclosure show. He didn't say disclosure, but he used a word that meant, this actually exists and they're just sort of, putting it out there so that we get exposed to it, acclimated to it.
That
And
reminds me, PJ, can you share my screen real fast? There's a picture that I found taken from the Perseverance that I'm still trying to figure out what the hell this is. Speaking of Stargate. Okay, this is the Mars Perseverance. It's a picture of Sol 74. You guys see this little square right here? I'm going to zoom in on this.
Okay.
What is this?
It sure looks like a Stargate.
Yeah, this is the actual picture from Mars Perseverance. Sol 74. What is this round thing?
That's not
Is there-
natural. That's not
Is there-
natural.
This is actual Mars image. By
I'm not
NASA.
appreciating it. Can you do that again? 'Cause I'm not seeing
There's
it.
a lot of stuff on Mars that shouldn't be there. That's not natural. That's either 90-degree angles or circular, like the DNM pyramid and the face on Mars and stuff like that.
Yeah, speaking of Stargate, I'm like, is there a Stargate on Mars? What the hell is this?
I remember hearing a theory that there was a Stargate in Iraq, and that was the reason that we went to Iraq.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry. Interesting photo, guys. Sorry.
no, thanks for sharing. So just to wrap up the episode, because I know some of you have to go. But final thoughts. I know because we have guests, we didn't go through it the same way we do some other times. But final thoughts, Maria, on the episode.
Oh, I have to unmute. Well, it was very nice visually. I have to say I do appreciate seeing her there as well on the show as a guest. I thought it was funny. I thought it was good comedy, and I don't know what else because I'm trying to run through the whole show in my head. I watched it several times. I thought it was great.
And Maria, do you want to tell us what you have coming up? Well, first, let me get everybody's opinion. ALYSSIA, final thoughts on the episode?
It's a good episode. It definitely wasn't too much of a cliffhanger. It definitely had the humor. It had the drama. I think it went well. It really did, because it wrapped up the story, but it still left you a little bit of a cliffhanger without being a cliffhanger, saying, is Priya returning? Will she ever come back? What's awaiting our characters next? So I like that. And I also like the fact that Gordon was able to bond with Isaac in an unexpected way.
Absolutely. ELIHU?
Well, since Kelly actually cheated on Ed, you actually get to see her little emotional distraught about, oh shit, I'm actually jealous now. You can see her perspective of this, like how she wronged him. And she's
Or
like,
before she was like, nope, I don't care. You can date whoever you want.
Yeah, now she's like, you can see her like, oh, she's jealous, she's confused, and she goes to Laura's like, hey, can you do me a favor? Yeah, the jealous ex-girlfriend type things, like, oh, I regret what I did. Oh shit, she's going through emotional distraught here. It's like she's trying to balance out her work and her personal life at the same time, and Laura kind of helps out with that. I actually like that part of the little story there, the narrative. But if Amelia Earhart is still alive, hey, awesome sauce. But it was a good episode.
Gil?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the range that Seth MacFarlane showed. I enjoyed the emotional content that he's, like we were saying before, working unexpectedly with his ex-wife who got him the job, and he's lonely and he's a little down and depressed. I mean, he's at the bar with what's her name, Talia or whatever, pounding
Laura.
bourbon.
Laura.
Yeah. Every night. So he's really obviously emotionally distraught over Kelly. And so I really thought this was a great way for him to show some range, not just a funny character or a straight ahead, character, or kind of a dropout. Like they showed in the pilot episode that he got a command, even though he was the last person that they could find, that, or whatever. I enjoyed the emotional content of it. And like I said, I was totally, I bought into it absolutely 100%. So, and I would like to see her come back.
Great. Let me ask you guys, we have the four of you have channels here. I want to ask you guys to go ahead and please put your channels in again. And I want to ask, starting from the bottom, ELIHU, what do you have coming up next on ELIHU Who?
My show called What's Up with the Universe. Next Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific time. Going to get a automatic warn everybody. There's going to be a Wikipedia flag because I'm going to be talking about the Anti-Circular Earth Club. So, otherwise known as Flat Earthers.
And you want to go ahead
debunking them. So
you want to go ahead? Excuse me. I'm sorry for my cough, guys. What do you want to go ahead and put in your channel again?
Sure. One moment. There it is.
And Maria and John have the Tea and Telly show channel. Excuse me. Do you want to tell us what's coming up, Maria?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Do you drink tea and watch telly?
You know what? Yeah, I do.
With a kitty cat.
I'm gonna have the actor Kyle Hesser on. He also is independent filmmaker. He's got Preacher 6 coming out, and so he's gonna be he's gonna be on the show. So I've got that.
Awesome.
Several other projects, but
you said Kyle Hester. You said.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Awesome. We were gonna have Kyle on at one time, and I don't remember what happened actually. So that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. And if you want to go ahead and put in your channel again.
Absolutely. Where am I? Okay.
That's ELIHU Who. Please sub to ELIHU. And by the way, shout out again to Yitza for our doing these wonderful images for our reviews. And of course, he did ELIHU's avatar.
And he also did the Mr. Potato Head artwork.
Exactly.
You had a layaway plan, so I can read.
Alicia, what's coming up next? You want to tell us again?
Let's see. I may be doing another celebrity interview that might be reviewed soon, and I may be doing another podcast episode for you guys since I'm on episode 5 now. So don't know. We'll see. Whichever comes up first.
Awesome. And this is Elise's channel. So make sure you guys are subbed. Everybody who's watching, everybody in the replay. And Gil, what is coming up with Cardinal Sin?
Tonight, actually, I have a celebrity interview on my paranormal UFO and paranormal show, Into the Fringe. I'm going to be interviewing at 7 p.m. Central. That's here in 50 minutes or so. Christopher O'Brien, who is the world's leading foremost authority on cattle mutilations.
Wow.
He's also an expert on UFOs. This is his latest book, Stalking the Herd. It's a light read at about 600 pages. He is a wonderful guy. He's a professional musician. He's been doing, getting into the nitty gritty of the cattle mutilation mystery for 25, 30, 35 years now. He is doing something called the UFO DAP. It's a project to triangulate UFOs as they move through specifically the San Luis Valley, which is a hot spot for UFO activity and paranormal activity. He's also a Bigfoot researcher. We're just going to have a blast. He's going to give away a copy of his latest book, Stalking the Herd, or The Mysterious Valley, his first book, at the end of the show. So make sure to be there. And if you could get the link out, the more people that we have there, the more people will find out what's actually going on behind the cattle mutilation mystery.
Wow.
Dun,
Fascinating.
dun, dun.
Well, listen, guys, I wanna thank you all for joining us. It's an honor to have the four of you here. And I know Coco was trying to. She is back up and after she's feeling better, and she could not join. So Coco, we're sorry you could not join for some reason. Your link wasn't working. But I want to thank you all for being here, and a shout out to ETEP and Katie. They are on vacation. And thanks, you guys. And that's another cat?
No, this is Mr. Meowgie still.
Oh.
Mr.
Well, yeah.
Meowgie?
How many
Yes.
cats do you have, Maria?
That's great.
4.
Mr.
Four.
Miyagi.
They're all rescues. And
Oh,
he's
wow.
the senior, and so, yeah, that's Mr. Meowgie.
That's
See, Coco.
hilarious.
See, Coco. If you can't have chocolate, you can have a cat.
And PJ, thanks very much for having me and having us on the channel. It's always a pleasure, and of course, it was great to get to talk to Mark.
Yes.
Yes,
thank
it's
you.
always a pleasure.
Always an honor.
Thanks,
Fun, dude.
thanks again, guys. And yeah, that's a great name. Thanks again, guys, and we will be back soon. I will be streaming later for a bit, and most likely, and but I'm not going to step on Cardinal Sin too much, I don't think. So we will be back next week. Thank you, guys. Have a
and
safe week.
Don't
Go
forget, I
ahead.
want to thank Jay Lee for stopping by, and people will sub to Jay Lee's channel.
Yes.
Absolutely, guys.
Yes.
I have them.
Thank you, Jay Lee, for dropping by, and Mark, thank you as well. Really quick reminder, guys. On last note, sci-fi. We all want better sci-fi. So please support Space Command. And
I
we're
thought
gonna-
you meant Siffy, the channel.
and we're going to be talking about Space Command a lot from here to June 4th. We're actually going to be reviewing Space Command. So I'm going to be sharing a lot about that a little bit later.
Big
So good
push toward the end of the fundraiser.
Exactly. Good night, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks.